Hey everybody, thank you again. We are on our third episode of DreamScope, the broadcast that inspires. And today I have a huge treat for you guys. The founder of Scopeback Mountain, Scopra Network, Nooni's mom, the
Thanks,
love
Mom.
Yes, the lovely Sandy Choi. And I'm so excited to interview her today. Just to give you a little background, if you're not familiar with our guest, Miss Sandy Choi is an on air personality at the Wave 92 FM in Hawaii, the number one hit music station. She is also a comedian, producer, writer. And again, as most of you know her, she is a Periscope phenomenon that has literally blown up overnight because of her genuine personality, her willingness to share and be
Aw.
open and vulnerable, and her lovely guitar and ukulele playing is awesome. So, guys, Miss Sandy Choi, thank you for being here, Sandy.
Hi, thank you so much. Is the someone asked me to adjust the camera. I hope that's okay. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry, everybody, for being late. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So, Sandy, the first thing I always like to ask all my guests is we can read a bio, we can say what you do, but I love to know from a person, how do you describe yourself? Who is Sandy Choi?
I always say I was born this cray. I was just born like this. I don't know. I always feel like I need to have like a disclaimer. I'm like, I'm so sorry, guys. I was just born like this. And people think I'm being silly. And then once I get rolling, they're like, thanks for apologizing because you're crazy. People are like, thank you because you're insane. I'm like, I told you guys. That's normally like the dance I have to do with people. And that's the thing on Periscope. That's the thing I always have to combat. Probably every broadcast, I'm just like, what are you on? What's going on over there? But that's something I've heard my whole life. And thank you for your broadcast.
No problem.
You wept. I wept watching that. I had to pull over, but it was like, you know, um, the acknowledgement to have one person. You just have no idea. I mean, that was the most comforting thing. The power of that in itself. So thank you so much. I know you were trying to put on good, but what it really did was, you saved me from a moment of complete desperation.
Wow.
And that's, uh, um, not everyone can say that. I think everyone would like to be there. And so the fact that you were there for me in such a powerful way, thank you so much. I don't know really how to thank you, but just to tell you.
You're welcome. I adore you. I meant it every word from the bottom of my heart, and I know you know. Again, this is DreamScope. So the whole point of this broadcast and this interview is really just to share stories, really to let people open up and see who the guests are and what they're about. And so my first question, it might be a little open-ended, but what is your dream, Sandy?
What is my dream? I'm living it, and I don't really. It's amazing because, like, especially with the show that you're doing, you had the moment where you had the idea and you put it on a shelf and things like that. And I don't know if I shared it with you, but I really admired that. And I admire people that are very like, whether they act on it or not, but they have that resolute feeling of something. That's something in the people can have those things, but then to acknowledge it and to have action is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
I'm not like that, and I think that's why I'm in awe of people like you. Because for me, I always say, in spite of my efforts, I'm here.
Yeah.
Um, I wouldn't be having this radio job if I didn't live in Hawaii. I didn't want to come to Hawaii. I was a person who doesn't want to come to Hawaii. I didn't want to come to Hawaii. So that's to give you an idea of how odd my mind frame was. I was like, I can go to St. Thomas. I don't want to go to Hawaii. I can't. I kicking and screaming. I came here, and it took 4.5 years of me being here until the radio job began. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
all happening. I've never been on the radio before. Actually, to be honest, it occurred to me after my job, like a couple months. I said, "Oh my gosh, actually, I did have a radio job." And
Oh,
it never occurred to me that I did because I didn't take it seriously. When I was 19 years old, I remember the memory of this girl that I met at a party in New York City. Her dad was like a millionaire and owned all these radio stations. And she just took a liking to me. And she goes, "You need to be on the radio with my dad's my dad's station. On Friday nights, we interview guests, like, movie stars, writers and things like that." And I was like, okay. I remember I showed up for like almost 2 months, and a group of like 3 people, and I would sit in the background. I never really even had a headphone on. I was just kind of sat there, and I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, well, I don't know what this is, you know? And I was like this, I got to go party. Like I was 18, 19 years old. I was like, I'm good, right?
Yeah.
20 years later, you know, I'm put in front of the mic. And the funny thing is I had bought a microphone a year before I got the radio job. Why did I buy a microphone? I have no idea. I never opened the package.
Wow.
And I was going to actually use it in hindsight. I was like, oh, I was going to start to maybe do a podcast. Like, so I hadn't been envisioning without really being so mindful like you've been with yours. You know, so what is my dream? You know, my dream came and found me. So I think that's what it is. I'm still figuring it out. And every time I do Periscope or like get feedback, it teaches me what it is, what my dream is. I know it involves something to do with giving, but the problem is, I think it's taken me this long because I think, you know, sometimes people's best qualities are their worst qualities, you know? And I think I was that my whole life. I think giving was, you know, had become such a problem for me. I know that sounds ridiculous. I don't know, but I think, you know, a lot of women can identify with that, I think. And I think being Korean American, that's just how we're built, you know, so.
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I've actually heard you say that one time when I was hanging out with you on a scope. And I remember I told you you were so inspirational, and your reply to me was something along the lines of, you don't even realize you're doing that. It's not like this conscious thing where you're like showing up and saying, I have to inspire people. You're literally just showing up, and it's like a result of it. But I think, you know, I do want you to know that you do inspire people. There's so many people that probably can relate. Like I found you on Periscope, like from the beginning. You were on a Pass the Talent, and you were playing your guitar, and the way you sang with such passion and raw conviction just did something for me. And I don't know if you remember, but I told you, you helped bring my love of music back by watching that.
I do remember.
Yeah, it was so inspiring, though. It might not be your conscious goal of like, I'm getting on here to make sure I inspire everybody, but you do, Sandy. And we were talking earlier with Fitzgerald when he was on here. He was asking like, what's my superpower? I said vulnerability. And I was just saying it's so helpful to show up and be who you are because it allows other people to be who they are. And I think that's what you do for people. I think by just being your authentic, this is Sandy, I might be crazy to you guys, but this is me and I'm giving it to you. I think you allow the space for all the, what we say, the misfits and the oddballs and all of us people that feel, you know, isolated to be able to open up.
I didn't know that was a thing, you know, like, so you're the first one to actually come out and say that, like, oh, you brought music back. And then after you did that, there have been 3 different broadcasts from people that, you know, from around the world who are like, hey, I started playing music again because of you. I just sang today because of you. And I'm going, what? Like that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going, I don't do any of that. It's funny. I meet people that like, this is my purpose. You know, like Saints Addiction. I love that guy. He does a channel.
Yeah.
He's got a purpose. You know, people got this. Me, I don't have this purpose. I'm going, what's my purpose? You know, I'm like, it's all kind of happening. So when I hear things like that, I'm going, wow, it wasn't even my intention, but, you know, I don't know what else to do. And that's actually how I started to learn guitars. I just didn't know what else to do. It was out of desperation, actually. And that's why I feel very humbled by all of this because, again, it's all coming late in spite of my efforts. You know, it's all, you know, I'm still being blessed for some reason, you know, I'm being blessed.
So one thing I'd love to know from you is how you kind of got into the singing and the radio. Like what has been the journey that has led you up to this point? Now you're on Periscope, you know, so many people following you that are just in awe of you. Tell me some things that led you to this, where you are.
Again, I think a lot of serendipity, you know, just getting to the island. The story is very much me kicking and screaming. And so I didn't even apply for the job to get on the radio. That's another crazy thing. And the reason that they got me the job is because they saw me doing comedy, stand-up comedy. Now, I had not done stand-up comedy in 4.5 years when I started doing it again. So it's all very like momentary, like how did that happen, right? So I was I was a loan officer. I was working for marketing at Wyndham in Kona, you know, nothing like this. And so I actually started doing stand-up comedy 8 years prior in New York with my ex-boyfriend / fiance at the time. In a past life, I was, you know, engaged for a very long time. Anyway, he wanted to be a comedian. He was an investment banker, you know, lived on the Upper East Side in New York, you know, very New York living. And that's what we did on the weekends, you know. And, people took a liking to my comedy, but I stopped doing it when we broke up because I felt like it was his thing. I was like, it's not for me. And then someone had a comedy show in Kona. And I said, oh, let's go check it out. People don't know. I haven't talked about comedy. I haven't done anything. It's not on my radar. And then somebody didn't show up. There was an empty spot. And I walked in, someone said, there's a lot of people. He goes, hey, we have an open spot if anyone wants to come up. And something in my heart was like this, doom, 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 like, you got to go, you got to go. And I was like, no, 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 no. Crazy, no, no. But it, that itch, it just wouldn't stop. Like, I'll do it. And they're like, what? I was like, my friend's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, I don't know. I got to try something out. I got to go see about something, And so I sat there and I wrote jokes because I was like, my Katrina joke is not funny right now, My Katrina joke is not going to work. So I was like, let me do it. And I didn't realize that was a contest. I won it. The next month I had a headlining act, and that's actually what got me the job probably because they saw the comedy and was like, oh my God, you're amazing. So they had started the process, but from that point it had been a year. And then they came to me, gave me a job offer. And I said, I'm sorry, what? I thought you guys were kidding. They're like, no, we were kidding. And that's how it happened. And I had 2 weeks to get the job. And I moved, left my job and then flew back. Now, that last year, from month to December was the hardest year of my life. And, not to say that we don't have hard lives, but just an acute year, it was just so difficult, I had lost my business partner, just stabbed me in the back here. He was a loan officer. We were partners here. We had the number one, loan officer business, mortgage business in this town. I had never done mortgages before, and he had taken that. And I was destitute. My dad got very sick one day, he was in the ICU. I had to leave everything, and fly over, and there's a whole other bunch of things, those kind of acute things. Yeah. But I flew back. That was one of the last things. I was like, it was almost a year ago to date, actually. I went back and he was in the ICU and he was there for about a month. And that's how I started playing guitar, actually, because it was out of desperation. I had nothing to do. I didn't know what to do. So I'd spent a year being by myself in total, kind of disappointed with the world, my friends, just everyone going, nobody gets me, and just sitting in a hole in Hawaii. I'd sit, I remember just watch the sunset every day. And that's all I do is watch the sunset quietly in my head on it. And now in hindsight, I was like, whoa, I think I've been preparing for this entire year. That's what occurred to me in hindsight, but it was pain. I felt like pain, but I sat there with my thoughts. I sat there with every, I think that's the thing. I addressed every fear that you could possibly have.
Wow.
I'm not married now. I'm not going to have the kids. I had a surgery, tumor taken out that big. So I may not be able to have kids. I'm by myself. These are things I had to really deal with. That was one of the things I was going through. And so yeah, and so I think that's I don't know what else to be but myself at this point, I don't know what else to do, but it's not easy. I get it. So I don't know. I think that's how I got into radio and music. It's all, do you see why I'm very Forrest Gump of life? I kind of that happened. It keeps on, amazing things keep on happening.
Yeah. But that's such a hard thing for most people to do, right? What I'm hearing from you is that an opportunity or a door opens up and you just walk through it. Some people, tons of doors are opening, but they can't even make the first step. You're like, something's in my heart. I gotta go. I'm going. And it sounds like you're literally being led from one thing to another thing to another thing. And then the whole picture starts making sense. That's incredible, Sandy.
But for me, yeah, it is incredible, but it's in spite of my efforts. You know what I mean? And I think for me, I'm not into religiosity, but that's a fact.
Yeah.
In spite of my efforts to be where I'm at. So that's why I feel very humbled. I'm like, I'm not special, guys, because I'm not. Do you know how many people go to work every day? I know it because I was that person, work so hard and are actually good at their job, but that's not what they're supposed to do. They're so good at it, though, so it's confusing. Yeah. You're a good office person, so of course you should stay. Yeah. You're kind of good at sales, so you're creative, so why don't you stay in the job you actually freaking hate? Everyone does it, and they'll live their whole lives like this. I'm not special. I didn't do anything. I don't know. I think when I was very hesitant. I almost didn't take the radio job because I had a fear. Because I said, nobody's going to feel sorry for me when I have a bad day. I'm not a comedian. I'm on a small island. I'm going to be telling people my life. What am I doing? No, I'm not doing that. And it was actually a very scary situation. I kind of was like, even though my gut was like, of course you're doing it. Mm-hmm. My brain just went through its whole process. As you know,
yeah.
Chris, you know what that does? You know, the dreams, it just, you know, how do you not waver from that? You know, when you have that in your heart and you built a website and then you just go, you know what, not right now.
Yeah, the big thing is the why, right? Just knowing that there's somebody out there that needs this because, you know, we talk about misfits, right? What you're saying, I feel the same way. I literally had this self-fulfilling prophecy that nobody ever understands me. I sat up in corners in a room crying to myself, nobody gets me, I'm misunderstood. And I remember that feeling, and that keeps me going because then there's other people I meet like you, tons of people on Periscope, and they're like, I just needed to hear that one little thing. I just needed to see you say it's okay to be me. And that why is so important. So tell me, Sandy, who is it that inspires you? Like I have tons of people I look up to that help get me from point A to B. So who do you look up to?
My mom, you know, she's my mom. You know, it's funny because my parents don't know the details of my life at all. They know they're broad stroke. You know, I call my parents their Hail Mary parents, you know, they're Hail Mary pass parents. They're not there. They're not running backs. They're not wide receivers. They're not there for the majority of the game. You know, they're Jerry Rice. You know, they're Jerry Rice. They come in at the end and they, you know, they catch the freaking catch or, you know, at the tail end. So it's a very interesting, you know, if you ask my mother a lot of things, though, and she probably couldn't tell you anything, you know, but that's doesn't matter. It's her. She inspires me for her things that she's good at, and she inspires me for her faults as well, you know? So that's why I would say her. She's incredibly kind.
Yeah.
You know, one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life, genuinely.
Wow.
And so anything that's like kind and giving comes from her, you know? But, you know, I think, again, your best quality can become your worst quality. And I think that's something I acknowledge in my mom, you know, growing up. And that's something I'm very mindful of. So that inspires me too, because I know that she's trapped by it as well. That's why I mean, you know, people's greatest intentions can shoot them in the foot and you sit there wondering what's going on. I'm doing my best. So it's like the universe going, no, you're not actually, you're not. You might think that that's the lie. You're not doing your best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's about growth. I mean, we're all out here searching, seeking, experiencing, learning. You know, it all helps us.
Right.
It all helps us.
But the difference for you and I, you know, the reason why this is inspiring is, okay, it's one thing to know the difference, right? It's like how many times you go to the doctor and the doctor's like, hey, you're a little overweight. You know, I heard this other Sandy, you need to lose a couple of pounds. You know, probably stop smoking cigarettes. Yeah, I know that. But how many of us actually knowing do it? You know, just because we know better doesn't mean we do better. So it's for the people that actually can bootstrap up and do it is inspiring. So I'm really glad for you to do this. So, and just the excitement, you know, that could procure in so many people, you know.
So when you have tough times, like I was on, so for those of you who don't follow Sandy frequently, she did a scope recently where, you know, she gets on here. She's so comical. She's just fun, right? Like when I need a laugh, when I need to be put to sleep, I get on a Sandy scope. I listen to her play. I watch her do randomness just because it's so fun to hang with her. But she got on the scope and she was basically saying, you were saying that you guys see me smiling. You think everything's okay, but you guys don't even realize there's all this stuff that's happening in the background, right? And I think that's most of our lives, right? We put on this face or we, you know, we present ourselves a certain way, but nobody knows what's really going on inside, that we might be damaged or we might be losing a house. We might be, you know, just lost a job, a parent.
Yeah.
So in those moments, Sandy, when you have those periods of time, what is it that you do or what do you practice that helps keep you going in those times?
Because I think like being a victim is very easy, you know? And I think that was my point. Like one of my favorite quotes is Milton Berle said, I live to laugh and I laugh to live. And I've said this, right? I live to laugh and I laugh to live. Yeah. And that's me, all right? I don't know what else to do because there have been times, it really was this. It was, I'm going to try, you know, and hurt myself because I'm so upset. Or I'm going to look at this moment. It's those breakthrough moments because when you're so out of despair, what do you do? And the funny always sneaks in. The funny is always at that moment of desperation. It's always that pinhole of light. My brain goes to this funny place every time. It's a defense mechanism, whatever it is, but it goes funny immediately. And even sometimes when it's not funny in the moment, my brain goes, this is going to be hilarious one day. You just don't know it. Like, you know, like I went home. My parents are the bane of my existence, my brother more. And I just started a morning radio show. You'd think that most parents, if their child got a morning radio show out of nowhere, this is my dad's reaction. Sandy, this is now, I'm on the radio like 4 or 5 months. He goes, how long are you on the radio, Sandy? How wrong? I said, what do you mean, how wrong, Dad? He's like, what time you start, Sandy? And I said, 6 a.m. How wrong you talk? And I said, 10 a.m. He goes, oh, you talk too much, Sandy. Too much talking. You need to change it. Tell them you need to change it 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. 2 hours are good. So this is what my dad said. What parents, you know, if most parents would be like, you should talk for 24 hours. You should have a 24-hour network, sweetie, you know? No, my dad's like trying to roll back my hours. I'm like, stop trying to roll back my hours, Dad. You know, that's the comedy.
That's awesome.
It's true. It's true. And that's what it is. Did you catch it, Sandy? I want to see it. I do catch, so you guys can watch all my replays and catch.
Hey, everybody that's just joining in. So we're just talking with Sandy right now on DreamScope about her dreams and her journey stories. She's told us how she's been kicking and screaming to go from point to point, but she goes and she steps forward and does it. And, you know, again, I'm just saying that you're such an inspiration. You have literally enhanced my life watching you.
And mind you, something, can I say something? I've had every job in the book, okay? If there was a job you had other than like doctor, lawyer, you know, and I pretended to be a pretty damn good lawyer, let me tell you. But everything since I was a kid, whereas my brother, he's spoiled, you know, and that's okay. You know, it's weird because we could all come from the same genetic composition, how different we could all be, right? It's amazing. It's amazing to me because my mom said to me when I moved here recently, you know, like when I first, she goes, wow, I'm so proud of you. It was like one of the first things, I'm so proud of you. I said, for what? She's like, you know, you moved to Hawaii, you don't know anybody, you know? And I was like, you did the same thing, although you really didn't know anybody. You couldn't even speak the language, you know? So it's like, it's interesting that I'm like, I don't really feel like you should be proud of me. I actually feel like, and this is, I think, the mindset. For me, it felt like a disease, you know? I felt like, oh, I couldn't handle my shit where I grew up, that the universe actually plucked me out of my environment, plopped me in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, the furthest point in the world away from my parents. Is that an accident? I don't think so. I don't think the universe told me, the universe is saying, Sandy, you can't do it. You can't help yourself. You can't help yourself to help them. That's your problem. So the mere fact that this happened and I'm here, that's another incredibly humbling point for me, especially because I kicked and fought it. And then when I came here, the reflection that I had for those years going, okay, because there are times I'm lonely when I had the surgery, like I'm by myself and it's so easy. Oh, that was the point I was going to be. It's so easy to be a victim, right? But, and because we're entitled to it. I think most of the time victims are entitled to it. So we sit in that place because we're entitled to it. But I don't think that that's right at the long term, because it wasn't right for me. What it does, it swallows you up when you live in that space. That's what it does. Whether you're entitled to it, it doesn't matter. And that's a personal thing, you know, because I can live in that space because I've been so entitled to it, you know. So that's the whole victim thing is. It's subtle too. It can be so subtle. That's a crazy thing. It's like layers. Once I like knew the whole victim thing that was like in me and my family, right? That's how we communicate, right? The love language thing. And then it's like, okay, that layer got stripped away. And then I realized, oh, it's the way I'm talking with my friends too. You got to strip that away. Oh, it's actually filtered in how I do work in business. It's so subtle, you know, or the way I receive things. It's like some weird guilt. And I'm like, this is not real, is it? So I constantly battle that, you know, to be honest.
So let me ask you this, Sandy. What is your truth?
What is my truth?
What is your truth?
What a great question. What is my truth? I don't know. You know, I think my laughter, you know, what I find funny, everything. I mean, I make fun of my parents. I'm not, you know, things. I'm not a joke writer. I'm not a joke writer. I've only written one joke. It's not appropriate to tell now in my whole life, you know? I've only one. So I very much feel like a pointer of life. I'm one of the pointers. That's what I do. I go, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. I'm not very, you know, I can't write. I admire people that can actually write and create that. So I think that's my truth, just to be able to, and I always thought it was a curse, to be honest. You know, I hate feeling that way. Like, I don't know, can you watch like those puppy commercials with Sarah McLachlan singing with the dog suffering? I can't watch that, you know? And I would cry. I'm one of these people that cries. I'm not a cry. You know, and as I've been discovering it, I'm a little bit more open. Like, just, I've always felt people, you know, really felt people. And I realize now, in hindsight, a lot of the way I process information, it was too much for me sometimes. I didn't know how to handle it. You know, that's why I'm a really good people person, because I actually love people, genuinely love people. But what I realized, I think the moving to Hawaii, again, no, not because of my doing, but was to teach myself to know who I was by myself. You know, and for some reason, the universe stripped me of everything in order for that to happen. You understand? Most people are so smart that they will put themselves on a sabbatical and do it. You know, they know their minds and their souls better. They're going, wait, I need the time. I need to do this. I wasn't that. I was hit a wall of desperation. I've shared this before. When I was visiting here from Hawaii, I was over 200 pounds physically. I was 200 pounds. I had a back injury. I was never a skinny girl, but it was really bad. They're giving me nothing but pain medication. I actually took epidural shots monthly. That's something pregnant women have, because of pain. So can you imagine me? I'm a 5'3" frame at over 200 pounds. I could only shop at Lane Bryant. Kid you not. I could not. And then Forever 21 came out with a plus size line. I was stoked, So the fact that, and it's not about, so this island healed me as well, just living here. I didn't know, because I thought my whole life was going to be me being heavy and with a back problem. And that was going to be my life. And I was okay with it. I was like, all right, this is going to be life, guys. This is it, I'm going to take care of my parents, because that's what I have to do. And I'm just going to manage this back problem. Cool, That was it. I was like, cool. But I didn't realize this was in store for me. And I don't even know what this is yet, because jobs are jobs. What is this? I don't know what this is yet. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a flash in the pan. Maybe, because for me, I don't want to be famous. It's just because I'm comfortable with people. That's the weird thing. Is I think people naturally think that I'm trying to be famous. I'm not. I get that this is part of what this is going to be, and that's why I try to own this space. But I'm actually very uncomfortable with it. So on a small town like this, where people started recognizing me, it's weird, off my voice. So you guys see it on Periscope, right? It doesn't happen anywhere in the world, where I'm walking into a store and people recognize me based on my voice. Where does that ever happen in the world? Nowhere. On the Big Island it happens. So for me, I'm like, it makes me stay in more. And actually, that's why I started scoping more, because I was so didn't want to attach to people. I was so and Periscope was a way for me to actually be myself, because I felt like that whole oh God, everyone's watching me and I can't be myself. And, I got to keep all these words. And that was the whole point, is I'm myself, and now I can't be myself. So Periscope helped me be myself. But to be honest, my job and my coworkers, they're not about it. So they've banned Periscope for me at work, to be honest. And that's the first time I'm talking about it, as of a couple of days ago. And, it's really actually amazing to me, because I'm a content producer. And a lot of the content I get is by Periscope. It's actually by the interaction from people, because that's another thing I discovered about my creative processes. I'm better with other people. Some people got to be in a room by themselves, not me. I need to be bouncing all the time off of people. So it's kind of unfortunate, because it's such a new app, and whatever the perception is of what I'm doing, is not in line with what I'm doing, but that's the perception. So, I'm still scoping on my personal time, but that was a shock to me.
Well, I've so enjoyed talking with you today, Sandy. I am so honored that you've come on. I just love that I'm getting to talk with you one-on-one, because we're always in scopes and DMing, and just to see your face and be able to, connect with you is amazing. I have loved this. I have one more question I just want to ask you. You know that this is a broadcast to help inspire other people, kind of open up, share stories. So if there's one thing that you would love the audience to take away from today's conversation, what is that one thing you want them to take away?
That I know what you're feeling like,
Yeah.
I know the feeling of loneliness.
Yes.
I live in that space.
Yes.
I've been single most of my life. Everyone's like, well, and of course you find hear about single ladies. What's wrong with you? I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm trying to figure it out. I've been trying to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, I'm the common denominator, right? So I can't be blaming the world for everything. What am I? I'm the common denominator every time. So the inspiration is I am very much like everybody else. It's just, for me, I got to a point of such desperation. All of this is out of desperation. And I don't know if everybody needs to hit that wall of desperation. Maybe they do. I don't know. What do I know? But, if it's possible for me, someone that was, I was miserable, over 200 pounds, had no ever idea that I would ever be on a camera before, because I was told to laugh with my mouth over my hand because I had ugly teeth. I had teeth done a couple of years. You know what I mean? I was told not to laugh. So people go, why do you smile and laugh? I go, because I can now. I earned it. I earned it because I did this my whole life. Can you imagine me? How much I love to laugh. I laugh like this. And if I didn't, I get slapped, So what does that mean? It's in spite of, I'm not saying life is easy, but you still, at the end of the day, you just can't help but just be yourself. I think that if you take away anything, just can't help but be yourself. How about that?
That's amazing. That's
the point where you just be yourself. That's it. That's all it is. But that's sometimes the hardest thing. And I don't say it lightly. I don't say it lightly.
Well, I know that by being you, Sandy, you have totally helped people open up and embrace all of it, not just the good stuff, but the misfit stuff, the quirkiness. Like I say, I'm corny, right? I'm a goofball. You have helped me. And so we appreciate you for that so much. I'll say that on behalf of people. I've talked with people and they talk about how finding you has really helped them. People have definitely said and agreed on that. So thank you for being on here with me. Let everybody know what's going on with you. Do you have any announcements or anything coming up you want people to tune into, or how can people kind of
there's no need for this, really quickly, Crystal, I actually had like this vision the other day.
Yeah.
I was walking around at the grocery store and I saw you with like a big network television show. I just I felt, I don't know if that's in your heart, but even before, I saw your brother, I was like, that's what she's going to do. Like, that's what she's made to do. And now after actually experiencing this, I feel it even more. Now I'm kind of laughing inside going, oh, this is what it is. Because I had this weird instant feeling like, I didn't know what your website was going to be. I didn't realize actually the dream is bigger. I don't know what that means, but anyway, whatever. You're like about, like, I don't know if you know how big your dream is either. I think you might be hitting that too. I don't think because you're a pretty powerful woman. Yeah. So what's going on? Hi, Hilo. Hi, Dewey Molly. No, I'm still doing my morning radio show, and every Thursday I'm part of Parachute TV. I do, which is the first ever TV network on Periscope. Which, again, I don't know how I got to be a part of that. That's also crazy. I'm always like, I think I laugh and cry so much because I can't believe it. I'm like everybody else. I feel like I'm the kid that was sitting in the audience the whole time and you picked me. And I was like, what? I'm stoked all the time. I'm so stoked, because I was on the other side. I used to be a talent agent in New York. Actually, I was the one booking. I never thought in my wildest dream I was a creative person. I never thought. So at 37, I learned guitar. I'm starting a new career. So I don't know, wherever you want to take from that, I guess. And so, yeah, I do a lot of scoping, and hopefully I'll be traveling next year. But
awesome.
No time.
Yeah, so you guys definitely connect with Sandy. And again, she is a daily scoper, guys, and she'll entertain you. She'll sing to you. You get to meet Noonie and all the wonderful adventures that she goes through. And what's your show on Parachute TV? Always.
It's called Sandy in Hawaii.
Always Sandy in Hawaii. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So thank you again, Sandy, for being on. I have completely enjoyed this. Thank you for everybody who has been chiming in, that's been listening. This has definitely been a wonderful moment, is what I will call it. It wasn't even an interview. It was literally a moment of people connecting and sharing. I hope you are inspired. I want to see you guys next standard time for the next DreamScope with Susie, who is the founder of the Bopo Tribe. So thank you guys. Again, connect with Sandy at Sandy Choi Radio. You can connect with me at C Stretch. We're both daily broadcasters, so we'd love to see you on our channels.